This is Python's Paradise. This is your host, Greg Gilbert, aka the Python Hyena, straight out of Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. And folks, here we are, January the 16th, 2022. Here in cold winter in Canada here, And my cat just whipped across the bed there because he's like waiting to get on camera. Actually, no, he's not. He hates it, But if I could draw him over, I'll get him over. You go come over, Skittles? You go come over, Skittles? No, he's busy looking himself.
What cats do.
Folks, I give you an awesome independent filmmaker. I was put in touch with by Phil Herman. Folks, I give you Asif Akbar. How do you do, Asif?
Good. Thank you for having me. How are you, Greg?
I pronounced that right?
Yes, you did.
Asif, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. You coming over, Skittles? Look at his claws. He wants to look good if he comes on camera. He hates it when I put him on camera. You're involved in the independent film scene. I was wondering if you could give me some of your background and what led you to pursue being a filmmaker and an actor.
Well, I've always wanted to make films, ever since I can remember, back to when I was about 3 years old. I used to always love movies, and I was always fascinated on how they were made and who was behind making it all come to life for the audience to experience and live on with the stories. Because as a kid, I've always, had an open mind imagination about, what I watched on TV and the stories of all the movies that I loved watching. I carried on with them in my head, with the characters. For me, the movie didn't end there at the credits. You know, in my head, I always created the stories, and I always wanted to, put my stories on the screen. But obviously, at 3, 4 years old, I didn't know how I was going to do it. For me, I always thought that it was actors that made the movies because they're the face of the movies that we see in the box. So I thought, making movies was about acting. So I got into acting. And then as I grew older, around my preteen years, around 13, 14 years old, I realized, directing, producing, writing is where you can really make it happen and make your stories come to life. And a lot of times it's sad that actors are treated like robots and they don't have too much freedom in telling their story. They have to tell someone else's story. And I understand that with an acting background as well. So when I work with actors, I like to give them the freedom to, collaborate. And so I'm an open door to where I treat them as the artists they are. Same thing goes with the crew I have. I like to collaborate. That's what I love about filmmaking is the collaboration and the process with the team. And I like to, keep it an open door to where, any crew member can come and discuss anything with me, any ideas, any, suggestions. We're all working together to make one project the best that we all can. So I understood that concept growing up, and to me, that's what filmmaking was all about. And it brings the world's people together, no matter what background you're in, what experience you've had, you can utilize that in telling a story. So I just knew growing up all along, that's what I wanted to do. So I pursued, the dreams and went on the path, and here I am.
What movies inspired you? You mentioned, watching a movie and think about what comes afterwards. I've done that too, and I've never made a movie, but I know that thought process of, what would I go with after this? What are some of the movies that inspired you?
Well, honestly, I've always um, liked directors and filmmakers that were also innovators and, put something new in their movies that have either changed the industry with new technology or have given a new, vision to something that we've never seen before. And so when I was growing up, a lot of the sci-fi movies at that time, they were experimenting, and action movies, they were experimenting to make it bigger and better and something new. And those movies, like for example, one that always stands out to me, and it's still one of my favorite films of all time, is Terminator 2 by James Cameron, where there were so many new things that we saw in that one movie, and it ended up becoming a better sequel than the original. Terminator, the original Terminator for its time also, showed us a lot of new innovations with special effects and whatnot. But um, T2 was the one that I think across the board is just great cinema, and then obviously, there's other films that, like Steven Spielberg's films, E.T., Jurassic Park. I mean, all these things gave us something new that for me as, a kid growing up that wants to be a filmmaker was always fascinating. Back to the Future, another one. So I
Mhm.
think a lot of sci-fi and action, drew me into, wanting to be a filmmaker and tell those kinds of stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, yeah, I'm involved in a movie that Dee Wallace from ET is part
Oh,
of.
nice. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've met
ET
her a few times.
fanboy. Yeah,
Great, great lady.
yeah. I've met her too. She's been on here a couple times, and I met her at Horrorama 2018, and lovely lady. Um, you got a film. You got several films right now out, but I want to touch upon. I got a particular one. I want to see whether it's already. Just a second here. Yep, already. Okay. You got a film called The Commando. And
Right.
I watched the trailer for this, and you got Mickey Rourke in this movie. Now, to come up the way you had, what's it like to be able to get a talent like Mickey Rourke in your movie and work with him?
I mean, it's definitely a dream come true, and could be a once in a lifetime. The thing is, these are living legends. So Mickey is a living legend, and I mean, just the experience he brought to the set and the character, and just to work with somebody like that, and hear always in between takes he'd be telling stories, and to have a piece of old classic Hollywood like that around you is so much education and knowledge, and just you soak up every moment of it. And growing up, of course, just like many people universally knows the name Mickey Rourke growing up. You saw his movies, but the one that stood out to me the most was obviously The Wrestler, which was just magnificent.
That was
And
great. Yep.
it was one of his best movies, and one of top, I would say, in top 20 movies in my list. So um, to also hear some stories directly from him and get his feelings on what that was like and how he applied his experience and talent to my film and to direct him, he was very collaborative, and he showed a lot of respect on set, worked hard. He was there the whole time, that he needed to be on that day without even going and resting in his trailer. He'd stand right there for the shot. He did his own stunts and fights after a very long time, and at the end of it, he said, he knows why he didn't do it for a while, and so he took some falls there. So he gave it his all, I think, when he was there. So it was a pleasure working with him.
Yeah. Even back, way back into the 80s with 9.5 weeks, like Mickey Rourke has made an interesting transformation, in his
Yes.
career. And The Wrestler he was definitely great in that, and I'm an old school wrestling fan, not big on the current product. I like the 70s and the 80s wrestling, so I I really like what that movie was doing, you know. I don't think Jim Cornette was a fan of it, mind you, but I certainly liked it, you know. And you have Michael J. White in this movie as well.
Yes, yeah,
Not as big a
he
name as
was
Mickey
great.
Rourke, but still a name, you know.
Yeah. No, I
Uh,
mean, Michael is a star in his own right, and a legend in the martial arts world. And he brings a lot of experience of his own. I mean, people forget that he's more known for his action and martial arts now, but people tend to forget he's been around for a while, and he actually started as a serious actor,
mhm.
and also for him to pull off playing Mike Tyson at that time, especially at that time of Mike Tyson's life, and being so current in the media, and with all the craziness that was going on, and being the crazy character like that, coming off as a veteran, I'm sorry, as a rookie actor at that time, he was starting off, and that was one of his first lead roles where he went in and played Mike Tyson. I remember watching that movie when it came out. I was a kid, but I was a big Mike Tyson fan as well. So when I watched that movie, the kid me thought that was Mike Tyson. I mean, that's how well he pulled it off, and it was an HBO movie, and from there I remember Michael J. White, and when I first watched the movie, to me it was Mike Tyson. And when I realized who played it, I looked it up. I'm like, wow, he pulled it off to the T. I mean, that right there shows you, how great of an actor he is, and how much talented he is in as a performer. But the martial arts and action, I think, followed him from there. And obviously, he's one of the greatest martial artists on screen. So people kind of expect all his movies, I guess, now to have that level of martial arts and action and fights. With Commando, the film was originally designed to be a home invasion thriller, like a crime
Mhm.
thriller, and obviously having actors like Michael J. White, Mickey Rourke, and Cowboy Cerrone. We
Jeff
naturally
Fahey.
have to put, yeah, Jeff Fahey. I
Mhm.
mean, we naturally have to include fights and action in it, so we had to kind of enhance on it a little bit more. But my goal was always to keep it more about the story and the struggles of a character going through PTSD, and then how he has to overcome that to also save his family during this home invasion. So, um, I believe all the actors did a fantastic job in bringing it to life. Now it's up to the audience on what kind of film they want to go in expecting to see.
How chaotic is it to direct action? Do you already do you storyboard or anything like that to prep for it? How do you prep for directing action?
It's it's actually something I've learned early on in my career, that you have to be very flexible um, and open to a lot of changes on the spot with action, especially, I mean, with any script. I don't get married to one certain vision. I always have a plan A, B, C, and D on how things will go, depending on many factors involved on the day of shooting and on location. You may not get the location you wanted, or the people, amount of people you wanted, or resources. It all depends on what you have to work with. And then you can design what it becomes. I mean, you could write it, storyboard it, uh, make a shot list all day long, but you're never going to get it 100%. Even Michael Bay and the big directors, it's unless you're James Cameron, you can spend 5 years on a movie with an open checkbook. Even then, it's like 99% maybe, but you will never get 100% of what you want. If you dwell on that, then you're going to hurt it even more. But if you're open to expanding on what you have to work with, like I just, wrapped my other movie, Mojave Diamonds, a few days ago, and all the action there, we had ideas and a plan, obviously, and we had multiple options in our heads on how we could achieve it. Okay, if this doesn't work, then what's the next design? What's the next design? And so we had multiple, um, solutions in our back pockets to be able to, on the spot, quickly change and still make it work. And in most cases, it came out better than we expected at the end of the day. So you just have to, be fluid with it.
Now I'm looking on here. I don't know much of your background, so forgive me if I sound ignorant
No, no,
here,
no, of course. Yeah,
but Courtney Akbar, is she related to you?
that's my wife. Yes.
Okay, I thought so, and I was like, I'm looking her up here, and I'm like, is he married? I love her IMDb photo with the pink hair, you know,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, okay, all right, because I noticed she is involved in a lot of your movies, and that's always great to collaborate with your partner on a film. How did you two meet?
We go back a long time, and we've been married a long time now, and um, we've been friends in the beginning. It's been over 10 years, so it's been a long partnership, and I'm that guy that loves to work with friends and family, and
Hmm.
you create a film family. That's what we call it, especially for as long as I've been doing this, for a long time now. Um, Going over 15, closer to 20 years doing this, I've been able to kind of filter out the people that we work together, and it's in every industry, especially in the film industry. I'm right now blessed to be able to be in a position where I can pick and choose what projects
Hmm.
I want to do, what people I want to work with. So it's always nice to be able to work with the people that have your backs and you can trust, and from actors to crew to, and obviously, I'm always open to working with new people, and that's the beauty of film. But you find a style. Every
Yep.
filmmaker, every director, every actor, they all have their own styles of working and creating a movie. So it helps when you can be in sync with people that have similar styles or can understand, how it's done and how you work. And so, also being a director, you have to be able to manage, 100+ people every day. And the more in sync you are with everyone, just the better it'll go and smoother it goes, and the best movie you can make together.
What's it like working with her on screen? Like, what's it like directing your wife?
It's interesting. Now, a lot of directors and actresses have that kind of a relationship. I don't think it's anything like new. It's something that you just treat each other just professionally, as she is an actress and I am a director. We don't treat each other any different on screen. It's very professional, and we're able
Isn't
to,
it nice though
learn
that
it on.
you can share that though? It's a
Yeah,
nice
not too
bond,
many
huh?
people can, but there are. I mean, you'd be surprised. There are many that, because again, it's about having that understanding and trust, and being able to rely on each other too at the end of the day on everything.
Hmm. Oh, I love the pink hair in some of these shots. I know that.
Mhm. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was for a character she did a few years ago in a horror movie, but yeah, she's had all different colors, throughout the years.
absolutely, absolutely. No, but going back and looking over, um, just even apart from Commando, there was one film I wanted to bring up here. Jay, see if I can find it. It was something to do with clowns. You did one about clowns.
Yeah, I actually did a few different ones.
Oh,
So
did you? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Oh boy, I'm not finding it here. Maybe I need to look in the IMDb. You can get so many titles. I think it was, what was it? Clown Fear, was it called?
Yes, that was one of them. Yeah, that we did.
Okay. you'll have to forgive me here because you know what? It's interesting because it became very popular with the whole fear of clowns. I never understood the fear of clowns because clowns were originally supposed to be something that was to cheer people up, and now it's become this whole
I guess
fear.
the serial killer. There was a serial killer, I think Casey, or
Yeah,
someone who dressed up as a clown, and then he was killing children. So I mean, that was one of the most horrific ones, and just I think from that image, and then also for me, I remember growing up was the Joker from Batman. I mean, that was
yeah.
I love that character, but at the same time, he was very creepy and scary. I mean, he was one of the darkest villains in Batman. So just in I think in our society culturally over the last maybe 30, 40 years, or since maybe even Casey's time, 70s, I think that's when it started growing to be, and plus, they can be creepy, I mean, and it's just even the makeup, how you do it. It's all about, like, even now recently, there's been more, I mean, just that whole horror character of clowns kind of made a comeback because there were some real events of clowns dressing up and terrorizing small towns and neighborhoods. And so things like that, I guess, I mean, anybody can put on any kind of mask and look creepy and become a killer. Look at, Halloween, Mike Myers from Halloween. I used to always
Hmm.
think he was a clown. I mean, it was a white face. And come to find out, that was William Shatner's Halloween mask. They just went and found and painted it white, gave it to him in the dark. It just looked creepy. So it's all about the makeup, how you do the makeup, I think. You can make a clown look cheery, happy, friendly and all, and then you just do one adjustment on the makeup and he becomes a scary killer. So it's how you utilize it, I think.
Well, you just got done a film in 2021 called Ace and the Christmas Miracle. I mean, that switches you over in tone into the family market. You got John Lovitz to do a voice in it, which must have been a pleasure.
Yeah, he really was. It was actually really cool working with him. And, he does the whole Simpsons voice and everything I told him to. He came in, and it was funny because he walks in at the recording studio in Burbank, California, and with his little dog, Jerry, that he named after Jerry Bruckheimer. And great dog, by the way. Just, you'd think, like, why would an actor bring a dog to an ADR session where you have to record your voice in a audio recording studio? The dog, the whole time he was there for hours, the whole day, and just sat on the couch behind me, quiet. And so he walks in and he's like, "So, how do you want my voice to be?" I said, "John, people need to know it's John Lovitz. And I've always loved your voices you've made on The Simpsons. Go for that." And he delivered. Like, he was such a pleasure to work with. Great, great guy. Another one that just has funny stories and always cracking jokes. I mean, he is funny in real life in every conversation you have with him.
Yeah.
But that film, I mean, it was a great switch up, and it was actually a lot of fun to make. We made it during the pandemic in 2020, and it released this past Christmas in 2021. And it was a nice, refresher to be able to, like, at that time I was doing a lot of horror films too, and to like switch over and kind of, be at peace with making a happy family comedy. It was nice. It was fun. We made it in actually 8 days, and we shot it in Temecula, California, wine country, which is beautiful. That was really shot during kind of winter, but it's still so beautiful there. And the people were great, and I'm just happy it got a really nice release from Lionsgate, and it turned out to be a pretty decent film.
Talk about making a film during the pandemic. Now, I'm an essential worker. I don't get paid to do the podcast. I do this because I enjoy it. But
Sure.
I work as a cleaner, and we were in the front lines, like your doctors and nurses. Cleaners are in the front lines and in this whole thing. And I know a lot of businesses got affected by this. It must have not have been easy for filmmakers at all. Talk about making this film during the pandemic.
Well, you know, over the last 2 years since the pandemic started, we've kind of adapted and created a formula. And it's all based with common sense, obviously, to keep sets clean and just safe all around. And we applied a lot of the common sense uh, protocols that went into like official rules later. But like even movies we shot before the rules and regulations came out, it was all just common sense that just matched. I mean, keeping the distance, always cleaning your hands, washing, having extra hand sanitizers everywhere, wearing masks, and just even being in clean environments all around. And that's something I've always agreed with. I mean, you should always keep things clean anyways and safe, and safety is always priority on sets. So it wasn't that hard to adapt to that system. There were some crazy rules and regulations at one point, but even testing and all that, it definitely adds extra steps into making the movies. But if it keeps everyone safe, then we're all for it. It hasn't really affected us that much and creatively, as long as we were able to get the people and resources we needed, which was fine. And but at the same time, we kept everything safe. So I actually have no problems with it.
What's your favorite kind of movie to make? I mean, you've done action, you've done horror, you've done obviously a Christmas family film. What's your
Yeah,
favorite kind of
drama.
film to make?
I've been blessed to be able to do pretty much all genres, even documentaries. But what I really have fun doing, and I'm been having fun doing, it's also very challenging and hard, are action films. Because and I've loved horror too, because you have a lot of range you can play with, and sci-fi creatively you can do a lot. But something like horror, it's so dark. As a director, I love producing horror, but directing, and I've directed a couple horrors too. But it's just at where I am at this point in my life, I I have a tough time, with the whole mental state of being able to envision so much darkness and horror. So I really enjoy action, action with good story. So I think I'll be sticking with that. And I have plans to do some biopics and limited series work. That's always fascinated me. I'm a history buff, so I like a lot of historical stories. So we'll see where that leads.
Well, you also are one of the three directors behind Morbid Stories. Talk about working on this film.
That was just something we did to kind of pass a week of time for fun. One day shoot. Everyone kind of picked um, a piece of the. It was an anthology film, so we just
Hmm.
kind of one day went out and all had fun and put it out. It wasn't anything like too serious. But that was actually just an easy little thing we put out and did, but it was fun.
Okay. And of course, Astro, I'm going to bring that one up. Astro.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. I just brought that up here. Now that brings you into. Now, again, I haven't seen this one, but it looks inspired by Avatar. Am I hinting on something true there?
Well, it is an alien sci-fi story, so I guess that over there may be similar. But I mean, again, that was done in 2016. It's been a while with
Hmm.
that one, but it's actually out everywhere. Available all over. It's very easy to find for people to watch. And that was another one where it was a very ambitious project. I had a great cast and crew and people that made it happen. We shot it in New Mexico, Roswell, New Mexico, actually, of all places. So it was actually a very unique experience all around, and I've learned a lot from that project, and I had a lot of good people work on it, and it was a very memorable time that also made me a better filmmaker from the experience I went through on taking on and such an ambitious and challenging project at that time of my career. So that's a project that's shaped me into just becoming better and better and challenging myself and just going for it. And I always like to do projects that I haven't done before, something I can challenge myself into trying to do, even if I, haven't done it before. No, maybe can't, but I know in the process, it'll get done. And that's how I've kind of risen in my career is to not be afraid of challenges and to actually embrace them and to, push myself to try to be ambitious.
I recognize some names here. Michael Parry, of course.
Mhm.
There's a veteran in the
Yeah,
business,
he's
and
a great friend of mine now, and we've done a few projects together. Great
mhm.
actor. I mean, all around. Gary Daniels and Louis Mandalorian was in it. Marshall Hilton. It had a lot of range, diverse people. Omi Vaidia from Bollywood.
You got Max
My wife was
Baza, you got
Matt,
Dominic
yeah,
Swain.
Dominic Swain. So it was a good ensemble piece, but we shot that movie very fast in 12 days as well. It was a rushed production.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I want to allow you an opportunity to bring up some of these because I'm getting myself familiarized too. I love the title of this one, Smoke-Filled Lungs.
Yeah, that was another. It was more of a drama,
Hmm.
festival coming of age type of a movie, and we made that movie in 7 days. We shot it in
7 days.
California in
Wow.
7 days, and it won some awards and stuff. And that's I had a lot of fun directing that one because I had some good friends on it. Sasha Mitchell and the crew. Some of them, we had some difficulties and challenges along the ways and after it, but overall, I'm proud of my work in it that I've done.
Here's a loaded question. Out of all your times making films, what would you say is the biggest thing you've learned?
Oh, I would say patience. Patience is a virtue,
Yep.
and never give up. Right, that's the thing. Is this industry is probably one of the most challenging and difficult for most people because they want it now. They want it tomorrow. They want it, yesterday. But um, it takes time to, and even then, like when you think you've, made it or you're in a success range, you still there's always something comes up and you want to, you have to kind of do better, improve yourself, and keep going to be able to sustain. Sustainability is the key to having a career in this industry. And if you rush it, sure, some people can have fame and fortune overnight in this business. That's the other thing. Is it's there's many opportunities, but sustaining it is the key, and you have to be patient to be able to have that understanding mentally and be able to handle it,
Mhm.
to keep it up instead of, sometimes I've seen it with my own eyes. You can rise overnight and then also lose it overnight. But if you don't know how to manage it and have the patience to be able to manage it, it could all be for nothing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Um, you got a lot of projects that are in either pre or post production or currently filming. Now,
Mhm.
I don't know what you're able to talk about, but I would love for you to be able to plug any of those films that you
Sure.
feel that, yeah, any of these that come to mind. What are you working on currently?
I just wrapped a film called Mojave Diamonds on Friday, a couple days ago, and that one was a blast. It's a full-on, action film, just a full throttle, high octane action with a bunch of UFC fighters and legends there, like Donald Cowboy Cerrone, Chael Sonnen, Rampage Jackson. It also has Weston Cage, Coppola. who's Nicolas Cage's son, but a great, very talented
And
actor.
William McNamara, I've had him on the
William
show.
McNamara, he's a
Yeah,
good friend of mine. Jonathan Camp, Kelly Reader. So it's another good ensemble piece with uh, great great talent from actors and crew all across. Where I think we achieved something special there, and I'm very excited to get that going. It's in post right now, so we'll be editing for the next several weeks. And I also have a few other films coming up that we'll be shooting, but I can't really go too much further into
that's
those.
okay.
But
That's
I'm always,
okay.
I'm producing, directing, writing. I also edit, so I've been working on the post now. So it's all been keeping me busy.
Yeah, I've had William McNamara on here before, so I'm
Yeah,
familiar with.
he's been around for a long time. He's a
Yeah,
good friend. And I put in that role for him, and he just pulled it off perfectly. He shot with us for a few days.
yeah. No, now I just pulled that one up here too. It must be nice when you start up, you do the indies, and the indies definitely fun. But then you move up, you've made a connection when you get some of these names that come into your movie. Do you ever
Mhm.
get a sense of accomplishment for that?
I do, but at the same time, um, to me, I look at each person that I work with, and the bigger it gets, is like we're also kind of all going into it, not really judging each other by who they are, how great they are, what they've done in the past. We're in the present trying to make this project, this story happen. And I think that humbles everybody and grounds them to kind of work equally. And I've been fortunate enough to, even with legendary actors like Mickey Rourke and then Michael J. White and people that have been around doing this for 40, 50 years. It's the energy that you create around you and on your set, where there's a level of respect that's across the board, very, very balanced and equal. A star could be talking to a PA, but they're talking like they're friends. They're exchanging numbers. That's how my sets are. And that's why I was saying earlier, it's like friends and family. And even a new actor that comes in, like that's no matter how big, like Mickey, him and I became good friends. I was started going over his house. So it's like, we become uh, just from one project very close because of the energy that
That is
we
very
we
nice. I've
have.
even, yeah, I've even experienced that from doing cons. Like, I was invited to my first convention by an actress, who I'm now
Mhm.
very good friends with. And it's nice because when you sit down at dinner and talk to them, you're not thinking of them as somebody in the movie. You're seeing
Right,
somebody like yourself, another human being, and you get to know them as them, not them from what the persona is on the screen. And that's
right,
always a nice, satisfying connection, especially when they let you into their psyche.
right. No,
Mhm.
exactly. I mean, they're all humans. We're all humans. And when we go to work together, we're colleagues and friends and family, and just we all work together as a team and with a balance. And that's another thing. I've seen it before. The unbalancedness. It has to start from the top and how you manage the set, and that also reflects on the product at the end of the day. It does. It could make or break a film. How you create that energy between actors and crew, on any project too.
Absolutely, absolutely. You just got done wrapping a film, huh?
Yeah,
Phil
yeah.
Phil Herman was telling me that too, that
Sure.
yeah, you keep yourself constantly busy. I'm looking at your IMDb, and like I said, you got a lot of projects coming up, and maybe next year around this time, I'll have you back, and we could get your updates, and
Sure.
you
Anytime.
know, and perhaps maybe I'll have Courtney on here as well and talk about the films she's collaborated with you on. And
Sure, that'd be lovely.
yep, absolutely. Give you more promotion on here. Have you done the conventions before?
Yeah, I've actually have, and for me now, it's like it's tough because I'm constantly on productions on set. It's
Hmm.
that's kind of become my more priority of setting dates. So I don't get to do too many where and with the pandemic, I just shifted from that. My attention's been more on set, but I'm open to coming back if they're coming back more, and if the dates work out. Then I always love the experience of being in conventions because you get to interact directly with the fans and the audience and get feedback directly, and obviously it's also a great place to network and get to know people. So I'm open to it.
You have any convention stories?
Oh man, yeah, actually there are many. But one, I'd say a tiny listener once I ran into, and Debo, from Friday, and he had his whole family there, his little kid, wife, everyone, and just like we became, very good friends right there on the spot. Like he was so open and lovely, and then he attracted a lot of people around him, and he's just the stories he was saying. It was just cool to see that. And then I've met Arnold a few times and different things, and even private events and parties. But um, like I feel like people can become good friends in that environment where it's like common ground. But yeah, you're always it's like an open field. You don't know who you're going to run into. There's a lot of surprises, so there's always crazy stories and from any convention, especially when you know a lot of the people there. um, it could be fun.
Absolutely, absolutely. You got any charities or a web page that you want to plug and promote on here?
I do have a few that are being organized right now and being put together, in fact, for charity. But at the moment, they're not ready to be
That's
published.
okay.
So it's in the process, but that's a good
Well,
plan.
next year,
In the future, be having those out.
like I said, next year, um, I'll put you on my list for 2023 to have you
Sure.
back, and
Sure.
because then you'll have some new projects to talk about,
Oh yeah.
and we can expand and talk about the charity event. You got a web page? Like, where can people connect with
Um,
you?
just Facebook, Instagram. I'm not too much of a social media buff, but those are where people can reach me. Probably directly, and then uh, I'm not that hard of a guy to find, I guess. So
Hmm.
I love interacting with people and getting their feedback as well. So
Okay,
uh, just try to
absolutely.
find me maybe on Facebook or Instagram.
Well, you know what? It was great that Phil Herman had connected us. He had approached me about this, and I said absolutely. I'm always open to hearing. I love especially hearing from filmmakers like yourself who come up um, right from the very bare scratches on the surface, and then get elevated up, and you look back on your first projects, and you see ways that you've improved over time, and things that you
Mhm.
learned, and now you're making big action movies, which it's got to
Yeah.
make you proud.
It does, and it motivates me to keep going, and
Yeah.
that's the other great thing about being a filmmaker is you have to be very humble and know that you're always going to keep learning, no matter how long you've been doing this for, whether it's 15, 20 years, 40 years, 50 years, you're always going to continuously learn to um, better yourself and grow as a filmmaker, as a person, because what we do is we take life experiences and our maturity to tell our stories, to the
Mhm.
audience. We continuously learn about the subject matters we work with and the
Mhm.
research we do, the people we work with. So it's just a school of life being a filmmaker, and so that's what's so exciting. So I just want to continue on the journey.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? It was wonderful having you on here today, and
Thank you,
to
Greg. It's great being here.
yeah. And you know what? I'm happy to have you back. I'll put you on the list for next year, and we'll get all the updates. And yeah, we'll circle back and do a follow up.
Sure thing. Sure thing. Thank you. And I'm open anytime. So and thank you for promoting the films.
Absolutely. And before I let you go, would you mind doing a plug for my show?
Sure.
Just state your name, and if you want to mention something you're involved with to go with you, you can, and say you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise.
Okay. This is Asif Akbar, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise. And look out for The Commando, directed and produced by myself. And I hope you keep listening to Greg. It's a great show here.
The Commando, yes, with Mickey Rourke and Michael J. White and Jeff Fahey and Courtney Akbar.
Actually, she's not in this film. You know,
Courtney's not in this one?
No, she's not in this
Uh-oh,
one.
you're in big trouble.
No, it's like I said, we keep it professional. She's not in every one of my films.
Oh, you should
So she
have her
works
in every
around her.
one of your films.
Yeah. But it's again, it goes with what characters needed at all times. But in the majority of my films, she's in there. Yeah.
You know what? I love it when it's just like with Rob Zombie, you know. I love seeing Sherry Moon. Some people complain about it, but I don't. I love the fact he has his wife in his movies,
Yeah,
you know.
they've actually made a trademark out of it, and now
Yeah, there's something endearing about that, you know. Like he's not like can't wait to get on the next project so I can get out of the home life. It's like he takes it with him. I like that, you know. So I encourage more of that, you know.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But it's whatever people think, and it's not easy, but not everyone can do it. But if it was easy, then everyone would do it, right?
Absolutely. Well, I thank you so much, Asif, for coming on here today and promoting the Commando and your other film projects. So yeah, we look forward. A blessed 2022 for you, and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Greg. Take care, and happy 2022.
2022. 2020 wasn't working it.
Yeah, 2022.
2022. God bless you, man.
All right,
Thank
God
you so
bless,
much.
Greg. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah. Bye-bye.